Welcome to the episode of Locked In. This is going to be my review of the Huel meal replacement drink. Is it the perfect food? Does it taste good? Is it great for cyclists or people who just want to lose weight? Well, stay tuned and let's find out. Now in this video, I'm going to be going over a few basics. 1, what Huel is. 2, taste. 3, kind of my preferred uses and recipe and thoughts. Price, and my final thoughts. So let's get into what is Huel. Now, Huel is pitching itself, in my eyes, as a modern-day meal replacement, easy solution for a lot of us who have full-time jobs, go to school, work a lot, or whatever, and just don't have the time or potentially the skill to meal prep. And as you all know, using fresh ingredients and all that kind of stuff is good for your body, not eating processed foods a lot. And especially for cyclists, that's going to mean that you're going to be more energy efficient. So I'm seeing this as someone who, yes, I would like to lose a little more weight, coupled with my intermittent fasting that I've been doing. And since I am eating more plant-based, Huel lines right up with my kind of ethos as far as my eating habits. Huel is a fully plant-based meal replacement, and it is macro perfect. Means that if you break down your macros with your proteins, your carbs, and your sugars, and your fats, and everything else, this is literally, you could survive purely on Huel. Now, yes, that would get boring, but you could do it as far as a nutritional standpoint. Now, if you want to break into basically the really nitty-gritty on how this breaks down, obviously I'll have links in the description to go over all this stuff in more detail, because I am by no means a nutritionist. Now, in use, this for me is basically like the perfect lunch solution to me. Since I do intermittent fasting, if you're not sure what that is, you can click the little card above here to watch that video to explain that in more detail, so I won't go into it, but I typically don't eat breakfast. So this is a great way to break my fast because, again, it is nutritionally perfect in that sense. It's great. It's all plant-based protein, so it's easy for your body to digest, unlike red meat or proteins from meat, as well as it's actually surprisingly filling. Now, Huel does also offer flavor adders. So the Huel mix is basically just a kind of bland vanilla flavor, so it doesn't really have anything, so you can't just blend it by itself. It's not going to taste very good. But I kind of like that because I could really manipulate the flavor profile to keep it really interesting throughout my basically 30 days or so now of trying it. And I really did like that aspect about it. The only downside is, obviously, it takes a few more seconds and our ideas for prep and how to make it taste good. They do offer flavor adders, which are in a variety of flavors. Currently, I believe it's about 5. They have a chocolate, strawberry, those kind of things. I had the chocolate. I'm not a big fan of it, only because I don't like that stevia taste. Some of you probably don't mind it, but I just really don't like that flavoring for whatever reason. So I tried it, but I wasn't a big fan of it. I would prefer to use something natural. So in use, I didn't get sick of the Huel, but I did have to kind of change my mindset on it. It is definitely not super smooth in the sense of it is a little bit chalky. Now this is where I'll get into next on my recipe on how I kind of moved around that. But just keep in mind, it's a plant-based protein and you do taste a little of that oatiness to it. That's just a thing about it, and I got over it after the first few shakes when I started kind of messing with my ratios and what fruits or flavors I would put in there to really kind of absolve some of that. It was still always present, but it wasn't apparent near the end. Now let's move into kind of my 3 favorite recipes for it. 1, my coffee recipe. I'm a big fan of making cold brew, and there's tons of videos on that online. If you guys want to see how I personally make it, comment below. But basically, I would mix Huel, cold brew, unsweetened coconut milk, and then 2 to 2.5 scoops of the Huel mix, and I preferred to always blend it with a little bit of ice. Now, Huel will store in the refrigerator, and it does thicken up slightly, so that's why I started kind of stepping back from the 3 scoops I recommend per serving. This made it a little bit thinner, and when it thickened up, it didn't thicken up too much to where it's almost impossible to drink. But that being said, their Huel container actually works really, really well, and it's got a big wide open mouth and a mesh in there to actually make it easy to shake up and break up. My next favorite recipe was super simple. It's basically the same ratio of coconut milk and ice mixed with some mixed berries. I had blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. I just got a big frozen organic bag from Costco and just threw a big handful in there. I did have to adjust for the bulk of that in my blender, so I did have to use a little bit less milk and ice so that everything would kind of mix in. Since they were already frozen, it kind of acted like ice to chill it down. Lastly was my kind of peanut butter savory version of this. Again, same recipe with some almond butter, and I tried some peanut butter as well. Both were really good. The almond butter being a little more viscous, didn't thicken it up as much as I noticed, and then I would toss in a few frozen bananas that I would cut usually the day or 2 before, blend that all up in my blender, and I was happy. Those were probably my 3 favorites. Now, as far as using it daily, it definitely fills you up. I was surprised. I don't think I've been able to just sit there and sip on it and finish it all like I have previously with other meal replacement drinks or protein shakes. It definitely takes a little bit of time for me to drink it all, which is great because it actually proves to me that this is actually filling and it makes me feel good. It's very light. You don't get that kind of bloatedness that I have had from some other meal replacements. So overall, I've been really enjoying it. Now, that being said, you do, again, have to be in the mindset of this is going to be a little chalky. So if you're really, really sensitive to that, you're really going to have to play with those ratios. And I would definitely recommend blending this over just mixing it in the shaker. Yes, that does work, but I did notice that it is a little bit more chalky if you don't blend it. Now, for a quick on the go and you're just trying to pound down something because you need to eat or need that nutrition, you can make do for that one time. But if you can blend it, blend it. The one thing I didn't do with Huel is bake with it. I'm not a big baker, but I do eventually want to develop something to make a basically cycling specific bar like I have in previous videos using the Huel so you get extra protein so it's a little more sustained energy for longer rides. Now, I definitely would recommend this to anybody who's cycling because, again, it's perfect nutritionally for you and it's a great, easy, no-brainer alternative to having something that's overly processed or with chemicals that you don't know because, again, this is all plant-based. So for any cyclist, I definitely recommend it. Anybody looking to lose weight during cycling, I definitely recommend it. Or someone who just doesn't like to meal prep, which I totally get. It does take time. And this is a great alternative solution. Lastly, let's get on to price. Basically, that's going to obviously fluctuate depending on deals or promos they're doing. But currently, a bag of Huel is going to run you about $60. They break it down to about $1.75 a meal. So obviously, if you're going out there and even getting like a $5 footlong or some kind of combo deal, you're spending $3 to, let's say, $10 anytime you go out to eat. So yes, it seems like a lot for just a bag that's relatively big, but you, again, have to use 3 scoops per serving, so it doesn't last that long. I'd say I get about, for me, because my ratio is a little bit lower, about 18 to 20 meals out of a bag, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Again, depends on what I'm mixing with. So no matter how you break it down, it is going to cost you less. Now, those flavor packets are obviously going to be additional. So my final thoughts on this are, it's a great solution for someone who's trying to incorporate more plant-based nutrition into their diet. I'm a big advocate of it. It's really helped me as far as my health, my overall well-being, and aided in my weight loss since my hip injury. Again, if you haven't seen that video, watch the card above. And I've been really enjoying it. They do offer a subscription service of this to basically replenish you every month to a few months, depending on what you like. And honestly, I think I'm going to stick with it for quite a while. Obviously, eventually, I'm assuming I'll probably get bored and run out of recipes. If you guys want to see more of an in-depth breakdown of some other uses for this, please comment below. I'd love to develop some more. I'm really into cooking, so I don't mind that at all. So I hope this answered all your questions. If you're looking into an easy plant-based meal replacement solution, if you're an active person, you like running, cycling, or whatever, I hope this video helps. Comment below if there's any questions I did not answer in this video. And thanks for watching another episode of Locked In.